Hello and welcome to the 2025 NCAA Division I Women's Soccer Selection Show. I'm Will Haskett. A dozen years removed from its last title, North Carolina returned to the top of the sport a season ago, the fifth different champion of the last 6 years in this sport. This year, the sport continues to show off its depth, with any number of the 64 teams about to be announced capable of winning it all. Those 64 teams begin play at local sites later this week with first-round games, and will whittle down the bracket from there until the final four teams head to Kansas City for the national semifinals and championship on December 5th and 8th. To get to Kansas City, you must be in this bracket, which features 30 automatic qualifiers and 34 at-large selections. And each quadrant of the bracket has half of the teams seeded 1 through 8, with those seeded teams earning hosting duties later this week. So who made the cut? Let's find out right now as we start with our first team to unveil one of 4 1 seeds in this bracket. It belongs to Notre Dame. Elite survival of the challenging ACC for the Irish, who own 3 national titles, the last coming in 2010. Izzy Engel, one of the most electrifying offensive players to watch in this entire tournament. High volume, high success rate, 1.12 goals per game, paced the ACC, where she was also tops in points. The team was down 2-0 in the second half of the ACC championship game yesterday, rallied to tie, eventually got it to PKs where they lost, but it was a great example of this team's ability to stay in every game this season, and obviously an incredible record coming out of the ACC. The Irish welcome UIC to the tournament. Congrats to the Flames on their NCAA tournament debut, nailing down the berth with a Missouri Valley Conference title. All right, some early bubble sweats in now. Let's end the drama as Ohio State is in. 6 straight berths, with this one maybe by the skin of the Buckeyes' teeth. But with Molly Pritchard in goal, this team can go far. She led the Big Ten in goals against and save percentage. And she and her team will travel to another team, perhaps on pins and needles, Georgia, in with an 8 seed. Massive exhale for the Bulldogs, who are lingering on the fringes of the latest RPI rankings. The senior class has now made 4 straight tournaments with the berth today. No such sweat for Baylor. Welcome the Bears back to the tournament for the first time since 2018. An aggressive team that keeps opponents uncomfortable. Half of their games this year have been shutout wins, with keeper Azul Alvarez tops in the Big 12 in clean sheets. She will look to stop Texas State, automatic qualifier from the Sun Belt, back to the tournament for the first time since 2011. Western Michigan captured the MAC to earn back-to-back berths for the first time in program history, and a trip across Lake Michigan to Wisconsin. Drew Stover anchored the defense, was the keeper of record for 10 shutouts this season, top 10 for any goalie in the country. The Badgers made a run to the Big Ten semifinals and hope to do the same in this field, earning a trip to the tournament for the 26th time for the 1991 runners-up. All right, a big name lurking with Florida State, the 3 seed here. Nobody wants to see the Seminoles in their path to a championship this season. The Seminoles have been the top program in the sport over the past decade, winning all 4 of their national titles since 2014. This year, you see the Noles only have 2 losses, and they came to the 2 top teams in the country. Forward Jordan Dudley was first-team All-ACC and a dangerous weapon to defend this postseason. Samford will be the opponent. Second straight SoCon title for the Bulldogs, who erupted for 4 goals in the championship game. ASUN AQ Lipscomb checks in next, taking a trip to Mississippi State. Selection shows success becoming a habit for the Bulldogs, earning a trip to the tournament for the 5th time in now 4 straight seasons. This year saw a run to the SEC semifinals thanks to the engine of the offense. That would be Allie Perry, who led the conference in assists per game while also ranking top 10 in goals scored. West Virginia stays home this week. An impressive record, features the team's most regular season wins since 2017 and most overall since 2018, highlighted by an unbeaten run through the Big 12 regular season. Senior forward Taylor White leads the offense and was named to the All-Big 12 first team. Wagner will join them in the opening round, one of 2 teams making an NCAA debut in this bracket, along with previously announced UIC. Wagner's winners of the NEC and still celebrating today, now hearing its name called. And we round out this quad with another conference representative, as Sacred Heart is back after nearly a quarter century. The Metro Atlantic champs got it done in the snow, surviving PKs to return to the tournament for the first time since 2001. That is the longest drought between berths of any team in the bracket today. They're hoping for a little warmer weather in Washington, D.C. as they visit Georgetown. And despite having a 13-8 advantage in shots and a 10-0 gap in penalty kick opportunities, the Hoyas couldn't get across the line in the Big East Championship yesterday, but into the tournament for the 16th time, looking for the program's third trip to the national semifinals. They feature a top 10 goal differential nationwide. Kara Martin also in goal, leading the Big East in goals against and save percentage. All right, to the second half of the left side of the bracket, we flipped the order here with the 2 seed belonging to TCU. The Frogs raced up the rankings this year with a Big 12 regular season crown before an early tournament exit. TCU still hasn't lost a game since early October and has not lost a single game away from home this season. And they will look to protect home turf, though, with SWAC champ Grambling heading to town, NCAA bound for a third time and twice in the last 3 years. All right, let's summon another yell, shall we? The season continues for Illinois. Jubilation for the Illini, who bring this program back to the tournament. It's their first NCAA berth since 2013. Congratulations to that program. It gets them a trip downriver to Memphis. Unbeaten this season, only PKs could end the Tigers' run in the American Conference. The Tigers did not hear their name called a season ago, but they leave no doubt through the schedule this season to return seed line for a team that is yet to be beaten outright here in 2025. Texas Tech earns a week at home after sporting the best goals against average of any team in the Big 12, but this team doesn't just pack it in. No Big 12 team attempted more shots than the Red Raiders this season as well, so you have to cover the whole field against this team, which is exactly what Texas San Antonio will try to do, entering with the confidence of capturing the AQ from the American Conference. All right, no more dangerous road team in this tournament. How about this? On the road for North Carolina. You simply can't ignore this program in this bracket, no matter the record. This will mark the 44th NCAA berth for the Tar Heels, and if they fail to win the title this season, it will still be a 50% championship winning percentage in program history thanks to those 22 national titles. By the way, the last team to successfully defend its national title in this championship, you have to go all the way back to, you guessed it, North Carolina in 2009. Until they lose, they are still the champs. Not sure that was the draw that Tennessee wanted, but the Vols are ready for a very juicy opening matchup. Early exit in the SEC tournament has the Vols refocused on the biggest prize of the season. Just a half goal allowed per game this season is 6th best in the country and second only to Vanderbilt in the SEC. Caden Norris has been in goal for 11 shutouts this season. All right, 4 seed in hosting duties belonging to LSU. The Tigers scoring more goals this season than any other team in the SEC, with Ava Galligan having 10 of them, including 5 game winners. LSU hasn't missed a tournament this decade, and here's its name called for an 11th time here today. Houston Christian hasn't heard its name called since back in 2016, but does so again today thanks to taking care of business in the Southland Conference. Similar path for South Dakota State. The Jackrabbits continue to dominate the Summit League and return to the tournament for the 3rd straight season. This year's path included taking out the top 2 seeds in the tournament run. The team has not lost in over a month as they return for a 9th time in program history of the NCAA tournament and will travel south to Iowa. 3 straight NCAA berths is a program record for the Hawkeyes, who have quickly grown into a national power under head coach Dave Diani. He took over the program 12 years ago and has now guided Iowa into this bracket for a 6th time overall in program history. His offense this season ranks 2nd in the Big Ten in scoring. Another really intriguing opening matchup next. Clemson sneaks out a seed line and a spot, hosting duties for an aggressive-minded team that was thoroughly tested by a robust ACC schedule and did enough to return to the tournament after missing the field a year ago. The Tigers making their 25th appearance of all time. And they will get a real opening test because they get Liberty. The Conference USA champs, the Flames, were a borderline at-large team before they just took fate into their own hands, winning 3-0 in the championship, including a goal from Conference Player of the Year Ivy Garner, her 15th of the season. Tennessee Tech also took care of business in the Ohio Valley to earn a spot, and they won't have to leave the state to battle 1-seed Vanderbilt in the opener. Fresh off another SEC championship, this is the stingiest D in the SEC. It surrendered less than half a goal per game this season, but the offense has come to life late in the year in a lengthy winning streak in which the Commodores scored 2 or more goals in 3/4 of their wins down the stretch. Sydney Watts scoring many of those and paced the SEC in goals this season with 14. She was named the SEC Forward of the Year. All right, that's half the bracket down. Some teams still sitting on the edge of their seats. We'll head to what is now the right side of the full bracket, unveil our third 1 seed this year. That is Stanford. The Cardinal made it a 1 versus 2 matchup in the ACC Championship against Notre Dame. Hope to roll to another championship in this bracket after winning maybe the most enticing game from this past weekend's championship slate. The 3-time national champions own the most potent offense in the nation, right at 4 goals per game. It is a very fluid group. 6 different Cardinal players were top 20 in the ACC this year in assists. This team moves it, they share the ball, they score, and they're coming off maybe the biggest win of the season so far. Cal Poly gets the upset assignment here, won its first Big West Tournament championship in 21 years and 4th overall yesterday. Jessie Halliday, the hero, with just 1:55 left. It was the 4th latest regulation go-ahead goal in program history. She had the game winner in both the semifinals and the championship to be named Most Outstanding Player. She led the conference in goals this season as well. Northwestern is safely in as another Big Ten team earns an at-large, and like a few before, they get a trip to SEC country. Alabama is waiting in this opening game. Gianna Paul, second in the SEC in points this season, leading the Crimson Tide back to the tournament after an absence a year ago. All right, it's already been a great postseason for BYU. The Cougars just captured the Big 12 championship as Izzy Stratton returned from her mission in 2024 and played almost every game this season at center back to anchor the defense. She earned all Big 12 second-team recognition in helping the Cougars earn 6 shutouts on the year. And after losing keeper Peyton Collins in the final game of the season due to injury, it's been junior Chelsea Peterson who has stepped up and delivered very early in the postseason. She had a PK win over top seed TCU, took it all the way to the title. So this is a team finding, even with new pieces, that it can get it done. And it'll be a matchup of momentum in the opener. Utah State in via the Mountain West AQ, a PK victory over Boise State this past weekend to snag the bid. All right, no conference tournament, no problem for Pepperdine. It was a battle for points atop the West Coast Conference table. It came down to the final game of the season. It was a 3-0 win over San Francisco to get the Waves a 1-point lead in the final standings and just the second outright regular season title for the program, which earned the AQ spot thanks to it. It also gets them a trip down the road to UCLA. Top defense in the Big Ten this season, was leading the nation in goals against for much of the year, thanks to 3 All-Big Ten selections on defense. That include freshman goalkeeper Daphne Nakfor. Not bad for a team that lost nearly the entire back line from last year. It also led the nation in goals against average. It's another freshman, by the way, redshirt Bella Wynn, who leads the team in scoring. She was the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, played just 2 games last year before suffering a season-ending injury. Just a team with a lot of power and a lot of youthful energy heading into this NCAA tournament. Colorado earns the 3 seed in this quadrant of the bracket. 3 straight NCAA berths is a first since 2008 for the Buffaloes, who led the Big 12 in goals this season, ranking 6th in the country with 52 in total entering NCAA postseason play. Hope Leba had 21 of those 52 goals, which was second best in the country and tops in the conference. At 1 goal per game, you know she and this offense aren't going to be blanked. In fact, Colorado netted a goal in all but 2 games the entire year. All right, time to make another team really happy, shall we? The season rolls on for Utah Valley. Done in by PKs in the WAC championship. There were worries the resume might not be good enough. There are no worries now. Only 2 teams in the country sport a better goal differential than the Wolverines, who now enter their 5th NCAA tournament thanks to an at-large selection. It's been nearly a decade, but welcome back to Dayton. The Flyers capturing the Atlantic 10 and a very short drive south to meet Xavier in the opener. The Musketeers red hot after a 2-0 win in the Big East Championship, getting goals from Samantha Urbach and Reagan Dancer. Urbach's penalty added to her Big East leading goal total on the season as she eclipsed 50 points for the year as well. Xavier led the Big East in assists and goals this season. Wake Forest clocks in next. Last year was almost the year for the Deacs, wasn't it? Getting all the way to the championship game before falling to UNC. How about this year? ACC Freshman of the Year Kylie Maxwell headlines a very young roster of star players who enter this tournament with almost an identical record to the one that this team had a year ago. We know exactly what they did in that march all the way to the final game in that magical run. Maybe another run with that young, youthful energy for Wake Forest as well. Tough matchup, though, to start things off. They get South Carolina to be in the tournament. Katie Shea Collins pacing the offense that is lethal when it gets a look. She had 10 goals this season, but her and her teammates are deadly accurate. Collins second in the SEC in shot accuracy. Another familiar name in this bracket, Milwaukee, back again. Dominant win in the Horizon League Championship, propelling the Panthers to their 19th NCAA tournament, where they perennially have the weapons to be dangerous as a first-round opponent, which means Michigan State has its hands full. They'll welcome them to East Lansing. Only PKs could deny the Spartans a Big Ten title this season, but this might be the best squad to head to the NCAA tournament now for an 8th time in program history. Big Ten Forward of the Year, Kennedy Bell, pacing the top offense in the Big Ten this season. They sport a goal differential in the Big Ten of plus 26. All right, from 1-2 seed to another, Duke gets the respect here on the 2 line. Head coach Kieran Hall in his first season as the head coach after taking over for longtime head coach Robbie Church, who retired. Third place finish in the ACC regular season was a top finish for only the 7th time in the last 28 years. Mia Minestrella has led Duke in goals, becoming just the 4th Blue Devil to total back-to-back seasons with 10 or more goals scored. It's a young team, however, as many as 5 freshmen starting at times in the Blue Devils lineup in 2025. Elon has championship experience and set a program record this season with 7 consecutive shutouts. Grace Gelhaus became the first Elon player to win CAA Defender of the Year since Elon joined the conference back in 2014. She paired with keeper Katie Bisgrove, who has 9 shutouts in her sophomore campaign and leads the conference in goals against average and save percentage. Maine captured the America East for a 3rd straight year, and the Black Bears will have to delay hibernating for at least 1 week as they'll migrate south all the way to UCF for the opener. The Knights going unbeaten over its final 9 games of the regular season after opening the season with a perfect 5-0 record for its best start at the Division I level since 1981. UCF is led by the 1-2 punch of senior forwards Liz Warden and Rahana Reed, with Warden named first team All Big 12, Reed earning second team All-Conference honors. Louisville is next. The Cardinals maintained a high ranking throughout a difficult ACC slate with 3 athletes earning all-conference honors this season. That is tied for the most award winners in program history in a single year. Louisville returning to the tournament for the first time, congratulations, since 2019. They'll face a team with a nervous wait up until now, but the Cardinals might actually hear the screams from down I-64. Kentucky is coming. The Wildcats haven't lost in a month, improving the at-large chances every time out to earn the program's 13th NCAA berth. California Baptist may have been a bid stealer this postseason. They won the WAC over Utah Valley in PKs to snag a spot, and that gets them a trip east to Kansas. And this team will play anybody, anywhere, and anytime, and they will thrive in it. All 5 Jayhawk losses have all come against top teams in the top 25 in RPI this year. They feature 8 road and neutral wins, tied for the most in the country. It's the 11th NCAA appearance under second-year coach Nate Lee. He's taken his team to back-to-back Big 12 championship matches. That's as many appearances in the Big 12 championship as the previous 27 years of the program in the last 2 years under Coach Lee. 15 different players, including 5 freshmen, have netted goals this season for a team top 20 in the country in both goals and points. It's a similar story for Washington, racking up wins and big moments, including a Big Ten championship victory this past weekend to vault to the 4 seed line in this bracket, and they will meet Montana in the opening round, fresh off the AQ from the Big Sky. Dartmouth survived the Ivy League to make the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2005, a 20-year, 2-decade wait. Well, they will now head to Arkansas. The Razorbacks haven't missed this bracket in a decade and sport a winning percentage in NCAA play of over 600. There's even stronger longevity from Penn State, which arrives at its 31st NCAA tournament, celebrating the 10-year anniversary of its lone national title. The Nittany Lions are one of just 11 programs all time with the Division I Women's Soccer National Championship, and one of only 6 programs that are in this field in 2025. In fact, the 2015 Breakthrough Championship for Penn State still remains the last time a team won its very first national championship. We've only had repeat winners in the years since. Maybe that changes this year. Maybe it changes for Army West Point. Could they end the streak? The Patriot League AQ this year, and a date with Penn State in the opener. And we rounded out our final matchup includes Big South representative High Point making the trip to the final 1 seed in the bracket that belongs to Virginia. It's easy to get lost in your own conference, isn't it? With the top 2 teams in the country occupying so much airspace this year in the ACC, but the Cavaliers are poised to win maybe the biggest tournament of the year. They are defensively minded, as you know. Victoria Saffredin led the ACC and is top 10 in the country in shutout percentage this season. What do they say about defenses and championships? Sometimes they're the ones that get it done in the end. They're also tested with the toughest schedule of any team in the nation this year. There'll be no team that will sneak up on Virginia, your final 1 seed in the final of our 64 in the bracket. As there you have it, all 64 teams still alive in pursuit of a national championship. We meet at midfield quickly this week for those first round contests. The last 2 weekends of November, identifying the best of the best from there. CPKC Stadium will be the site of the national semifinals and championship in December, where we will determine the national champion here for 2025. You can track all of the action here on NCAA.com with the preliminary rounds on ESPN Plus and watch the games in Kansas City coming up on ESPNU. Thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations and best of luck to all of the student athletes competing in this year's championship.
Class, today we're talking NCAA championships and life lessons. Schoolwork got you stressed, feeling overwhelmed. Need a place to unleash a quick, hearty yell? Behold. Join thousands of screaming fans for a heart-pounding in-person experience you have to see to believe. NCAA championships. Attendance is encouraged. Passion is mandatory. Visit ncaa.com/tickets.
Professor, who are you talking to?